Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to 14 Days of Mental Repositioning. Good morning. For those who might just be joining us for the first time, this is day 7. This is day 7, and I'd like to let you know that you're welcome. And just for formality, my name is Adewale Timothy. I'm called the Rabbi. I will not want to go into all those details, but I want to let you know that you are listening to something that would really change your approach towards how you make decisions. All right. I think in the past couple of days, maybe the past 2-3 days, the comparisons we have been looking at are driven towards helping you make better decisions now. Right? Now, just before I go into this, this is 14 days of mental repositioning. And like I already said in previous videos, the aim of this is to, as the theme implies, reposition you. So you might be in current mental dispositions. So my aim in this 14-day series is to give you new lens. Let me put it that way. And I remember the first one we had, I gave the analogy of, when I was explaining what mindsets are, I gave the analogy of a child, all right, when we were small during Christmas. There were usually these glasses we would put on, right? These glasses we would put on that were colored. Some were blue, green, yellow, and the likes of it. And those glasses affected how we saw things. That is, when we looked through them, whatever it is that we saw took the color of the pair of glasses we were wearing. So that's exactly what your mindsets are to your existence. They determine how you interpret your life and the circumstances around you. So that is why it's important to ensure that you are putting on the right lens. It's as simple as that. And that's what this is about, to ensure that you are putting on the right lens. So let me reiterate some things also that I've mentioned before. Your mindset is crucial because that's where all decisions come from, and the quality of decisions you make is a product of the contents of your mind. Also, the decisions you make are the determinants of the progress that you make as well, because we are all creatures of choices, and wherever it is that we are at any point in time in our lives, our decisions play a very major role. And now, you may want to quickly fault me on that, but then let me explain to you what I mean. Because some people may say that, oh, how about people who didn't choose some experiences that happened to them? I understand that. Okay, the volume is low. Okay, so please let me know if it's better now. Please let me know if it's better. Just let me know when it's better, alright? So, the quality of decisions you make, we're all creatures of decisions. And the decisions that I have made, alright, thank you, and that you have made is what really determines the kinds of results we have. Now, I give the analogy of two twin brothers. I think that's the analogy, or maybe that's it, twin brothers. And they grew up from a very dysfunctional home, meaning that it was very abusive. Their dad, they didn't see a picture of what love was like. So their dad would always beat up their mom, come back home drunk, very responsible, wasn't paying their fees, wasn't paying the bills, a very responsible father. And then they grew up to be, men. So an interviewer found them both and thought it wise to interview them because they were living two different lives. One was really successful while the other was going through a whole lot, was struggling through life, barely was eating from the streets. And they were wondering, how is it that you are brothers but then have different lives? The first guy said, it was my father. The second guy also said, it was my father. Now that raised the curiosity. Then they probed further, and then the first one who was successful said, because of my dad's irresponsibility, he marked me negatively, and I took it upon myself to not repeat the same cycle. So he gave himself the right exposure. He used his pain as his pointer for progress. He used his pain as that, should I say, adrenaline that pushed him, that fueled him, while the other guy played the victim. And that is what we're always doing, playing the victim. So one thing I want to do with you is to give you control of your life, and that's how it works. Your mindset is the control center. If it starts from there, then it affects every other thing. Now, I have something here this morning, and that's think eternity, not lifetime. Think eternity, not lifetime. The first time we were looking at time recently. The first one we looked at was think today, not yesterday. Second, we looked at think today, not tomorrow. Then now we're looking at think eternity, not lifetime. What does this mean? And for example, let me not assume that you know. Eternity is okay. Let me start with this. There are basically 5 time pockets. 5 time pockets. Number one, there is the past. Number two, there is the present. Number three, there is the future. Number four, there is posterity. All right, and number five, there is eternity. So now, past is behind you, present is with you, future is before you, posterity is after you, and then eternity is after time. Let me explain that again. The past is behind you, the present is with you, the future is before you. All right, the lifetime, that is, let me call that legacy. All right, is, or let me say, posterity is, what should I say again? So posterity is after you, and then eternity is after time, right? So then, these time pockets are necessary are all important and have their very key roles. So, one of the things that still affects every single person is our inability to think beyond time. Now, listen. The most important time pocket isn't really the future. Like I've explained, when I say, oh, you have to be futuristic in your thinking, think about the future, think about tomorrow, plan, make goals, do all those things. What is most important is after time. Because after time, there is still life. And I'm going to explain this from a very, from a point of view that gives you proper understanding without any bias. What then is the relevance of the labor, the toils, every single thing that we do, if we are not going to, if it counts for nothing? And I'm going to be explaining these 2 time pockets, that's posterity and eternity, in this video. Because when you just think about lifetime, think about the future, you can have different goals, but then you want to think, after you're gone, what impact would have been left? What would have been done? What impression would you have left in the lives of others? So this awareness fuels the choices that you make, knowing fully well that you're not just living because you are here and then you can do whatever you want to do. You're also living thinking about what you would do, or what's going to look like after you are gone. So the wise man Solomon mentioned a lot of things. And why I love the book of Solomon is because he was a man who, I would say, was the typical representation of all that a man would want. Every single thing. There's nothing you need that Solomon didn't have and have in abundance. And then when he's talking from a point of, okay, now I've experienced this thing, and then I can only come to one conclusion. I can only come to one conclusion. So your awareness that you are a creature of eternity would give you a better edge over an average person. And that's what separates you from an animal, separates you from the lion, the goats, the chickens that you kill on Christmas. That's what separates you. You are a creature of eternity. So when you're thinking about eternity, thinking about what is ahead, what is there, your decisions right now would be, you'll be more careful. You find people live very careless lives, and eventually you die, and you sometimes when I think about, whenever I hear the deaths of people, The first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, so what choices did this person make that determines what their eternity is going to look like? I mean, now, I'm sure you can already tell. Maybe you haven't stated it out. I'm a firm believer in the gospel of Christ, a firm believer in the reality of, of what God has made available through his son Jesus. And one thing that is necessary is your ability to really think about these things. Maybe you're of the position you're saying, oh, I don't believe in these things, or I don't believe in that. Then, okay, so then what then do you believe? Because if you choose not to believe something, you believed another. And then if you say, oh, human beings are not any different from animals, that won't be true. Why? Because why is it normal to kill chickens and criminal to kill humans? It's because there is something in you that knows that there is more to a human being than an animal. And let me tell you something, that thing that is more is that a human being is an eternal creature. So there are three parts of you. There is your spirit, there's your soul, and there's your body. When you die, all that is affected is your body, and then that goes back to the dust. Your spirit returns to where it came from. So you want to ensure that you have an eternal security. You want to ensure that there's, and I'm happy that this is day 7, so it's kind of giving a proper ending to the first week and helping you, giving you a better approach towards the second. It doesn't make sense if you're so successful here. You have a lot of things going on for you, but then you are steep deep in hopelessness as far as eternity is concerned. I can only see the use of being very well to do, very wealthy here, and then when you think about eternity, all that fills your heart is fear. No, you can be confident about what's going to happen there because there is provision for that. So I usually tell, whenever I talk to people, I tell people, so these are the two perspectives you must have towards life. You must have a futuristic perspective and you must have an eternal perspective. So while a futuristic perspective helps you plan for the future and live a responsible life in the present, an eternal perspective helps you think about when you are gone, when you die, because death is a common factor to all men, both the rich, the poor, the wealthy, and whoever. You're going to die one day. So when you die, you're thinking, do I have an assurance of salvation afterwards? And if you're confused as to what that means, it simply means that Jesus has made provision and then he promises that anyone who believes in him will not perish but have eternal life. So when you have eternity in your mind, when you're thinking about eternity, you're thinking about the matters of after time. Let me tell you, I'm going to let you know some effects of that, what it's going to do with you. It's going to make you lose a grip on the things that happen. So you will not be controlled by the things that are going on. Rather, you'll be much more centered. You find out that your satisfaction really will not come from the things around you. As important as earthly possessions are, they're not as important as your eternal destination. Because when you die, none of these things will be taken along with you. So you don't let it be that you are finding peace or you're finding satisfaction, finding comfortability in the fact or you understand that, oh, you have everything in place. You can order whatever you want to order. You can buy whatever you want to buy. You can do whatever you want to do. That is good. But then that should not be what your peace or joy should be hinged on. Because when you die, that's not what's going to, it won't matter anymore. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to urge you to have an eternal mindset. Think eternity. Perhaps you're listening to this and you're not saved. You haven't believed in the gospel. Think about it for a moment. And maybe you're like, okay, how do I know this is true? How do I know this is true? And I usually tell people, I say things like this. If I came to find out that it wasn't true, I would not have still regretted because the life I lived because of the mindset I had about eternity was far better than whatever I could have had. Because you find people wanting to disprove eternity so they can live recklessly, and that affects you in the present and affects the relationships around you. So you want to live recklessly, knowing that okay, nothing is ahead. You just live. The statements that is made. You only live once. So do the best you can. Do whatever you want to do. You only have one life. You do whatever you want to do. All those bucket lists you have. You want to do crazy things, explore yourself, and venture into so much. Let me advise you. Solomon did that. He explored every single thing. He married as many wives as he could. I mean, every woman he saw and desired, he took them for a wife or for a girlfriend, what we call babe. Every single possession he needed, if he thought, oh, I think I would like to eat grapes, instead of going to the market to buy grapes, he'll build a vineyard. Do you know what a vineyard is? So he would get every single thing he wanted. And when he comes to a conclusion, he says this here it says, hear the conclusion of the whole matter. So that is after he has spoken and spoken and spoken. He says, hear the conclusion of the whole matter. He says, fear God and serve him, for this is the whole duty of man. So regardless of what you try to do, regardless of how much you get to do, regardless of the things you have, it says, fear God and serve him, for this is the whole duty of man. This is the thing that encompasses your life. This is what gives your life a meaning, in a nutshell. That's what it means. It's what gives your life a meaning. This is true prosperity, when you are aware that you're not just prosperous based on your earthly possessions, but then you're also prosperous based on your investment in your heavenly things. So it was the words of Jesus. He says that where your treasure is, there also your heart will be. And he also says a statement like this: what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? Listen, you are a creature of eternity. You have a soul, and that soul is imperishable. And eventually, when you die, eternity has begun. That is, you've transcended. I mean, there's a whole lot. I mean, I'm not here to preach, but I'm here to give you thoughts to process and then make a decision out of it. If you're not assured, if you're not feeling safe as far as eternity is discussed, then I introduce to you the man Jesus, who provides you eternal security. And in believing in him, he offers you that and gives you that in abundance. So today, I urge you to start thinking eternally. Start thinking of eternity. Start thinking of after time. Start thinking of what's going to happen to my life after I'm gone. At the same time, you're thinking posterity. So what legacy are you leaving behind? What record are you stating? Because whatever it is that you start, you would continue. Whatever it is that you begin, it's like you have kick-started a process, and it won't stop with you. It won't stop with you. So you want to think, what are my choices? What are the effects of my choices? You know, when you think about people who have terrorized this world, people who have done very, very terrible things, and now they're no longer here. But guess what? That name has been spoiled. So whenever it is that name is mentioned, or peradventure you bear that name as a surname, that's already a disadvantage for you. So do you want to live that kind of life? I can assure you no. So maybe you say, well, I'm not here anymore, but it matters so much what kind of legacy that you leave behind. So my friends, this is day 7, and I'm here to just charge you to start thinking eternally. Think posterity. Think beyond time. Think of what's going to happen beyond here. What are your choices sponsoring? If you haven't made the choice of receiving eternal assurance of salvation from Jesus, I mean, today is a good day to do that. It's the 7th day, the day of rest. It's a good day to do that. It's a good day to do that. And it's not a choice that you regret. There is something that happens with you, and that's a satisfaction with life. And not because you have everything that you need, but because you have the one who has everything that you need. That is how it works. All right? So again, think eternity, not lifetime. Think eternity, think posterity, think of after tomorrow. That's exactly what I mean. After time, what's it going to look like? All right? I believe that you have received a few things, even if, I'm not the custodian of all knowledge, but I believe you've received a few things. A few things have jumped at you. So the next thing you want to do is to take action, start working, start doing things, start moving with it. All right. So we continue again tomorrow. That's day 8, and we would go into another set of comparisons. Now, if you notice, the past 3 days I focused on time. So you find out that all of those time decisions, so I say time topics we talked about, would fund the kind of decisions you make in the present. So it really matters what you do now, aside from what you're thinking of about tomorrow, aside from what has happened in the past, aside from what eternity is about. It's really about you making a choice now. It's about you, what are the things you are doing now, because all this knowledge is to fund decisions that you're making in the moment. All right? So tomorrow we'll look at another comparison, and I don't want you to miss it. Peradventure, this is your first. I want to refer the others to you. Go watch them, go look them up, consider them, think them through, and make better decisions. And if there's any of this thing that you might want me to talk about, maybe you want to make a comparison at some point, please do reach out to me. All right, let me know about it. You make a comment, or can I make this comparison? Can I talk about this as against this? And definitely, I would be happy to do that with you. I could replace whatever it is you comment on with any of the other things that I've planned as well. All right. Again, I'm the Rabbi. I'm always cheering you. I'm your number one cheerleader, and I'm very certain that I'm going to see you tomorrow. Have a great day.